Even if we ignore that POE2 is still in early access, endgame already feels massive, with loads of systems and different ways to play. Diablo 4 on other hand feels easier, faster and cleaner, but maybe not deep enough. So I'm Spot, and let's go deeper and compare how both endgames actually work right now. In Path of Exile 2, endgame represented by this map device that you need to open to then start your adventure. And to get into this place, you first of all need to beat campaign. There will be total of 6 acts, right now there is 4 acts and interlude, and depending on how good you are, it can take you from 5 to even 40 hours. So for some players, POE2 endgame does not even exist. The main question for good endgame is how readable systems are, and here, when you just open the map, you can be pretty much overwhelmed. Of course there will be a little bit of fog of war, but there's so many circles, roads and a lot of stuff going on that it can be really frustrating. However, you can quickly understand that these circles are actually maps. They have different names and different layouts. The green ones is already beaten maps, so you will see no green circles initially. The one which highlighted is open maps that you can attempt, and then there is not highlighted maps that you need to get access to, basically by completing nearby maps that got this line towards them. So it's pretty easy, at least base of the system. Also, just when you reach endgame, you will talk with NPC and he will give you this square item, an item called Waystone. It got tiers, so you instantly understand that you can upgrade tiers. You just need to drop this Waystone into map device, and then you will be able to open map. Map device will create teleportations. You go in and play the map. There will be map objective, just defeat the boss. Basically on all maps the same objective right now. So you run, zoom, and defeat enemies until you find the boss, defeat the boss, and map is done. Kinda easy. But of course it's not all the end game, because on maps you will find different contents. For example, this ritual altar that you need to open, and then there will be a bunch of monsters who spawns and you will get points, but you don't see points right now. You will see points only after you finish first ritual, and now you can interact with it and you can buy some stuff, but you cannot buy some other stuff. Some stuff is hidden, and that's where it starts to begin to be complicated and even overwhelming for some players. Especially if you never actually touched anything POE2 related, something like POE1 for example. At the same time, when you get back and beat few more maps, you will see secret mansions that you will have no idea how to unlock yet. You will see big burning monoliths months later. You will see corrupted zones, not corrupted zones, towers, and even some special maps on the river. And this can become really complicated, especially after you defeat your first boss, because this will give you book with skill points for Atlas Passive Tree, and you can scale it in different directions, upgrading different types of content and getting more content on your maps. And also there's different passive trees for different types of content, which again can be really complicated, especially if you're just starting out. You won't really understand what games actually wants from you. Overall, initial track of objectives is pretty easy, straightforward, and even clear. But when we get deeper and deeper and deeper, it quickly becomes really complicated, but more on that in later sections. First of all, let's see where Diablo 4 endgame starts. And Diablo 4 endgame starts instantly as you wish. You just create new character, pick your class, you even can customize your character, which is really cool, and then change campaign state. You can start basically at the start of the game, you can start from different expansions, or you can completely skip everything and you just go and start your adventure. So what we're doing here in kinda end game. First of all, you find NPC that will be right near you, and he will explain what seasonal content you will play right now. Then you just hop on your horse and go straight into this massive map with loads of activities. And if you're just starting out, it may look completely overwhelming and complicated at the same time. However, there's pretty clear track and you're getting really important rewards like skill points. You definitely need the skill points, therefore progression in endgame is pretty simple. And technically we can't even say where endgame in Diablo 4. Just for reference, I will call it the time when you finish your campaign. But in reality, well, it kinda already began. Some people may say that endgame starts when you reach highest difficulty. In my opinion, it's not. But really, it starts to scale when you finally at least get to Torment difficulty. Yeah, Diablo 4 is a game with different difficulties, more on that later. And sad part for me is that there is no pulse. Yeah, you're on open field, you're exposed, and monsters can defeat you even if you need to go away for a few seconds. So thanks Pass of Excel 2 developers for bringing in pulse functionality. But let's get back on track of our discussion. There's different seasonal activities, and I can call them railroad. Basically, game takes you and explains that go do this task, do this task. In most cases, they're extremely simple and tied to endgame activities that utilize some basic activities and also seasonal mechanics, like becoming butcher if you got special item, or just going around and defeating a bunch of monsters. So they most likely will never change. You just go on the map into this red location, held tight, and there will be loads of monsters and there will be loads of quests, and that's basically what you do in endgame. Go and smash some monsters. Yeah, it is that simple, easy to understand, and easy to start having some fun. So we can say Diablo 4 is easier to enter and POE2 is easier to get lost in. But is it a bad thing? The only way to answer this question is to answer: what is the goal of endgame? I would say in POE2 it's pretty clear. You spent your time in a campaign defeating act by act, and you already experienced journey of your character. But then Doriani will explain what's going on with the world right now, and you're armed for the next challenge. While overall endgame of POE2 is sandbox, as it should be in my opinion. You should have bunch of activities and you just can go and have fun with these activities by playing your character and trying to make him stronger. That's the main goal of ARPGs, I would say, like power fantasy, trying to become more and more powerful with time. And it gives you this ability pretty easily with a lot of extra activities on top. For example, right now we're fighting green guys, it's Abyss activity, and it adds extra content, extra crafting materials, and lots of extra stuff. And while it's sandbox in its core, and you definitely can do whatever you want, you can ignore content, you can play content, actually there is one clear goal, and that's what I like especially in POE2, that even though we're kinda playing power fantasy and it's nice to have something with unlimited scaling, in reality I really like when there's limited scaling, and I think it's super good stuff. One of the main reasons that we actually may find an end to a journey. If journey is endless, it's also nice, and that's the case of Diablo. We will talk about it in a second. But actual and final part of endgame, we can say right now, is this big tower. Doriani will tell us that here in Burning Monolith, super powerful boss is located. To open Monolith, you need to go and find your way through these maps. Eventually you will find this beams going through the fog of war, and that's where citadels is located. You need to find 3 different citadels, and then you will get keys. Keys to unlock the boss, then we will go to boss and try to defeat him. If we defeat him, then we can get few points for the boss passive tree, and with all points allocated, he will be transformed into pinnacle version, and therefore technically you can have 2 different goals for your character. For example, you can just play until you defeat Arbiter of Ash, but if you're really diving into the game, you can try to play until you defeat Pinnacle Arbiter of Ash. And this can easily be your ultimate end game goal, which totally makes sense. Since its last boss is hardest or debatably hardest content in the game, of course you can make some insanely hard maps that will be even harder than Pinnacle content, but overall we got a nice end game goal. What's in Diablo 4? Here we got sandbox at its finest. There's tons of dungeons where you can go and try to beat main objectives there. There's strongholds that you need to clear, there's a bunch of quests. Most of them will be extremely simple and straightforward. You just go from place A to place B, defeat some guys, and that's it. So yeah, That's basically what's going on. And overall, you just pick activity you like, yes, you can do it, and then you do this activity. In most cases, however, most nice and profitable activity is this hell tide, so you just run around, defeat some monsters, beat some quests. For example, right now I'm trying to defeat like 100 monsters. After I defeat them, I will get like little reward that I can use to then get some other rewards, collecting currency that will go into special location. Basically, I don't need to have extra stashed up place for it, and I will use it to unlock different chests to get more nice rewards. So yeah, just running around, smashing monsters, opening chests, getting some loot explosions. Not this time though. But technically there is no end. Unlike POE2, where you got clear goal, at least some type of it, here you farm infinite hordes of monsters, especially in Helltide area. And Helltide area respawns every hour in different region, so you kinda will fight different monsters in some cases, but more or less it's the same activity. However, there is world bosses that spawn every few hours. There is a problem, however, that they spawn for 15 minutes and then they are gone. So if you're like average dead and you got dinner around 6 PM, you probably will miss the boss. Maybe then you sit at your PC for like few hours, you play a little bit, and then you need to go sleep for next day. So for some players, I guess it's even impossible to even meet the world boss. Yeah, and I will say that it's impossible to count them as real goal. However, there's pinnacle bosses like Lilith. We can say she's like pinnacle boss. You can try to set a goal to defeat Lilith on Torment 4 difficulty. Maybe your goal will be just to reach Torment 4, whatever. In my opinion, there is like no clear goal in Diablo 4 besides getting better gear and making your character more powerful. But the biggest thing for me is this seasonal quest line. Technically, it's just mandatory to unlock skill points. But practically, I would like to have some fun and cool things after we beat this. But in reality, after you get a little bit into game and you just continue beating a bunch of activities, seasonal activities, you eventually will just progress this naturally, and in the end there is no really cool rewards. Yes, there's cash with some cool items, you will get nice items, maybe you won't, maybe you already will have these nice items. It's pretty easy to get some good stuff in this game, but again, there's no like finish. Because I'm right now at seasonal rank number 4, but I'm already clearing Torment tier 4 pretty easily. So actual like stuff that most players chase in Diablo 4 in terms of goal is they trying to reach higher tiers in Pit. Also there's Tower, which is kind of separate mechanic from the Pit. Right now there's no rewards, as far as I know. Probably there will be some rewards in upcoming patch for Tower. But basically you're just trying to reach the highest tier and then you will reach leaderboards. So yeah, you can like try and push somewhere for fastest run, you can try to push for highest Pit level possible. And that's it. This, in my opinion, creates a really kinda bad situation. Because without clear goal, without clear final moment, you can't say, oh my goodness, I did it. Technically you can say, oh yeah, I just beat at Pit 140. But in reality, I doubt a lot of people actually care about this stuff. So yeah, it is what it is. It creates a little bit of meaningless gameplay if you ask me. But the goal on paper actually means nothing. If grind to reach this endgame goal is boring and get old fast. So let's talk about a real heart of endgame, the loop. A loop is actually interesting topic because that's what will tell us how game feels after you invest a little bit of hours in, if you play it after campaign in Diablo, or after reaching level 60, let's say, in Diablo. And in this topic, I want to touch on Diablo loop first. You will understand why when we go from Diablo to POE2. A loop here is just basic and classic. You start with your basic item on normal difficulty, then you get a little bit of items, and they will help you go to the hard difficulty. At the same time, when you're just leveling, world scales with you, so you're starting to get better and better items every few levels, and then you're getting better items, going to next difficulty, even better items, getting to next difficulty, then farming, crafting your items, getting to higher difficulty, and basically this loop goes on and on and on until you reach the final difficulty. Eventually you will start clearing it extremely fast and just melting everything in your presence, and technically you're just trying to get your equipment for this guy, upgrade quality, try to roll for something cool, and if you're lucky you will get something really cool. So, oh my goodness, more maximum life, it will help me survive, we are golden. If you don't like what happened, you can reroll as much as you like until you get what you like. And yes, how you make items in these boost games are completely different. In Diablo 4 it's super deterministic, that's why I really want to make video explaining item systems and character progression in boost games. But here in Diablo 4 you basically trying to hit higher item power. After you hit highest item power possible, right now it's 750, in next patch probably it will be something around 1000 item power, but eventually after you get this 750 you probably won't find a lot of better gear, and you just enchant and enchant and enchant until you will find some better rolls. It will cost more and more and more, so basically it's a gacha game in disguise, but with really high chances to roll something cool. Sometimes this loop will be distracted by you trying to get certain items from certain bosses. To get it you need different keys, and this keys just drops randomly from different activities. So you go into the map, you find where the dungeon is, and we can even compare the system to Pinnacle boss system in Path of Exile 2, where you need to get bunch of fragments to enter boss location and then fight boss. However, in Path of Exile 2, if you're fighting bosses of higher difficulty, if you die, well, you're losing your attempts, and eventually you will just run out of attempts, and there's not a lot of them. On highest difficulty there's only one, so you kinda will lose all your progress, and you need to farm for resources again. But here you go to the boss whenever you wish, you touch altar, it will invoke ritual, or whatever you do for other bosses, they spawn differently, it will start fight. So here's a little mechanic, here's the boss, let's activate some stuff and let's fight him. So here's a fight, but eventually boss will be done, and then you will get your rewards. And only now you need to spend currency, so the keys that I got will be used right now. I can open it, get my loot explosion, loot everywhere, extra reward from Doom crossover, and we can fight boss again if we wish to spend more currency on more drops. Super easy, straightforward, no friction, no time loss, and he drops pretty specific set of items, so if you know what you need, for example, you need Sepal Zontag, this unique quarterstaff for your build, then tada, basically fight this boss and you will get a bunch of them. It's not random at all, and also it's pretty generous. So just look here, if I need exactly this quarterstaff, I get 2 of them in the same one boss fight. So if I need exactly this quarterstaff, yeah, it's super fast. Of course, eventually you want items with this super affix, I forgot the name, master affix or stuff like that. Ancestral, yeah. So ancestral stuff will give you best bonus. For example, this quarterstaff got +4 to level, and with ancestral bonus I got +10 to level of certain skill, and that's really big, that's super powerful, but we can live without it, and not ancestral equipment will give you ability to beat pretty much everything on Torment 3. Eventually you will get ancestral equipment, upgrade your build, and you will go to Torment 4. But this at the same time creates a problem. When there's loot everywhere, when loot is predictable and also so generous, eventually you stop getting your dopamine hits from loot explosions. Yeah, it's fun for the first time, but on like attempt number 5 you just know that you will get these items. And yeah, when you just need to a higher and better tier of gear, just go on high difficulty and you will get more of it. So this loop gets repetitive very fast. What's in POE2? Well, first of all, there's loads of different activities. You can force these activities on your map by using this type of tablets, at least for now, because who knows what they will cook for us in 0.5. But now you just drop a map, drop tablets, open it, and here you go, Delirium Mirror. Oh my goodness, everything changes, it becomes so foggy outside, there's different extra monsters arriving on our map, there's green guys, I also summoned them, and oh my goodness, what's going on the screen, it's already pretty crazy and maybe even pretty hard for some builds. And you can mix and match contents as you like, you can advance them separately, so you can focus mostly on one type of content. Of course, on the map you may find a bunch of monoliths, you touch them, there's a little monster who is a campaign boss basically, and he will arrive soon. Maybe he will be crazy and he will one-shot you instantly, maybe you will one-shot him depending on your power, and there's loads of crazy stuff going on, while at the same time, after every activity you're getting a little bit of progress in it. So you're going map by map, boss by boss, to find citadels, and then you're looking at some weird new currencies that you just got from your activity, like Simulacrum, Breach, you will get the splinters from them from Expedition. You may even find some league mechanics, they will be different every season, and this may involve you in different mini games, where you just build little temples, fight mini bosses, create some funny rooms, and just having some fun. And coolest part, all these different activities that we got in the game kinda contributes to different parts of your progression right now. So for example, this green guy activity will give you crafting materials, and you can use those materials just to create one line on your items. There's actually 6 lines. And if you want me to compare Diablo 4 versus POE2 character building with item progression, make sure to leave a comment. But basically, to get one perfect line on this item, technically you need to advance through this activity and also be lucky. If you want to improve quality on your rings, which will improve lightning modifiers, I will need to play other activity, Breach. If I want special, rare, unique items, I need to play Expedition, and good initial crafting materials will be dropped in Ritual. And that's the main problem of POE2 loop in my opinion. Maybe it's not a problem, it's just uniqueness of systems, but basically loop here is not as simple as get good item to farm better content, where you will get new items that will give you ability to get to the next type of content, and then you will get new item, and so on and so on and so on until you eventually hit the wall. Here loop is kinda weird and sandboxy at the same time. I can describe it as a tree. So it starts simple, you just getting some items. So we're choosing to start rituals first, because rituals will give us ability to affect some of these rolls on the ring, and also we combine it with essences, which also guarantee few modifiers. By doing this, we can basically guarantee around 3 modifiers on one item. But to have better chance for these modifiers, we need a little bit of splinters, so we're farming a little bit of breach. Also, don't forget, we need last line of our craft, so we're going into green guys, getting materials over there, and at some point maybe we need a little bit more breach to guarantee a bunch of modifiers, and so on and so on. So it's literally a net of activities that you want to play to get your preferred item. And it's drastically different in 2 mods. We can separate solo self-found, which is basically you play and you get your items, and that's how Diablo 4 works perfectly, but in reality in POE2 everyone played trade, so everyone played trade league, and how this activity looks in a trade and how loop looks in trade. But before we talk about trade, let's expose major problem with solo self-found in Pass of Exile 2. It's rewards, yeah. Rewards is next topic in our loop cycle, and basically when you eventually get amount of splinters that you like, you go and you play versus Pinnacle boss. After you defeat first difficulty, you will unlock second difficulty and then third difficulty, but they will require you to have more items, more splinters, but you will drop more splinters when you upgrade 3. So in reality you will get it even faster, but that's how it looks like. You're going into Twisted Domain, for example, for Breach boss fight, and that's like the weird, interesting and also cool part at the same time. First of all, you've worked really hard, you got your splinters, you got your items, and you deserved to get into this big boss fight. It may be even a challenge to survive until boss fight, because you need to defeat monsters fast or you will run out of time. So yeah, it's pressuring here. And when you reach end, boom! Explosion of loot going on. We're running towards the boss and fighting this bad guy. So he is out and he also drops a little bit of items. But here's the truth about these items. They actually, in 99% of cases, complete garbage. For example, this unique is not usable for high-level characters. We got 4 rings and all of them are insanely low rolls. You probably will completely ignore them. Actually, this time I got one okay-ish. But again, the problem is garbage loot. And at the same time, we're dropping a bunch of splinters over here, no splinters, catalysts, and that's the items we will use to actually upgrade our rings, to improve quality, to improve power. You need a lot of them, but not just random ones. For different builds, probably you need just one type. For example, if you're stacking loads of mana on your character, you need only neural catalysts. And there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 11 more different catalysts. So one time out of 12 you only get what you need, and all other times you probably will get something that is garbage. That's where the weak part of Path of Exile 2. There's bloat of different currency, and this currency won't really help your character. That's why Soul Found is a nice challenge mod to challenge yourself, but in my opinion, balance and game design in Soul Found is complete garbage. That's why most players playing trade, and that's where kind of progression shines, because whoa, you just got a bunch of different catalysts that you will never need, like physical modifiers. You're playing mage, you don't need physical modifiers, and you can go onto market and sell them. So one physical modifier will go for 13 exalted orbs. On current rates, it's actual player market, so it's not fixed prices. But then you can just go and sell everything. Or you can even completely ignore this activity and sell the splinters. So, boom, I don't want to play it, I will just get my currency and then I will exchange this currency for something that I will need. And this makes Path of Exile 2 to fall into very awful loop, at least in my opinion. You get your gear to play content, to then upgrade your gear, to play this same content faster, because maybe this content will pay better. Maybe everyone need items from this content, so it will sell for higher prices. And you will get your currency to get better gear, to play same content faster, to get better gear, and this loop gets repetitive and also boring really fast. Also, these two loops, they break momentum really fast, because in this you basically getting loads of useless stuff and you never use this useless stuff, while here you get OP really fast. You just gather a little bit more currency than you need and you upgrade to final form gear just instantly. So you skip half of the game, half of the end game. I don't know which end game loop you like better, let me know in the comments, but in my opinion POE2 gives you a lot of options to choose from, and worldwide economy fuels it. Diablo 4 got a lot better payoffs, but they are expected and readable. When you get something cool in POE2, it's always a wow moment. It's loads of dopamine. But in Diablo, you most likely expect something good to drop somewhere on your journey and drop quite often. And after you think about this a little bit, it will instantly result in meaningless rewards. But all these rewards always fuel builds. So let's talk about endgame builds. Do they matter? Is experimentation rewarded? And can these builds actually change how you feel a game, especially endgame? POE2. Just look at this passive skill tree. First of all, it's massive and it will determine how powerful your build is, because there's so many choices and they will be very different. They can be combined with lots of different things, and in some cases right now it's pretty simple. Yes, there's some simple solutions like go critical hit and you will win, that's fine. But in reality there's actually lots of choices that you can take and they also can work or can completely ruin your build. So in POE2, build actually matters. Skill combination and loads of support gems that actually affect how skill works. And when I tell you there's loads of them, I really mean it. So that's just intelligence support gems, and it's only beginning because there will be a lot more in upcoming patches. Don't forget we are in early access, but again it's completely different topic for different video. Make sure to let me know in the comments if you want to see this character progression and build comparison between two games. But basically in POE2 build really matters. You want to have really strong build to tackle game in easier way. Also, just getting good items, combining good items, crafting good items, it's separate layers and separate mechanics, and they are not very straightforward. But if you decide to dive deeper, this game rewards you really nice. Because instead of copying other people's builds and compete on the market for the same items that will skyrocket in price, for even uncrafted items that will cost 300 of divines that you probably will never drop in any single league. So when you're not competing for popular items, you can play some unpopular items that will be a lot cheaper for beta versions, and if you can theory craft your build, if you can play something off meta, you will be rewarded really fast. But you need to be able to identify problems and come with solutions. Builds also definitely change how endgame feels. Not only clear speed will be quite different, but also overall gameplay. There's different skills that feel completely different, there's grenades, bows, crossbows, different magic effects, and all of these builds will give you completely different experience of your end game. But what's with Diablo 4? Well, here builds does not matter at all. Okay, if you're Diablo for fun, fight me in the comments, but for now, especially for now, a game kinda dictates what you want to pick and what you need to pick. And in next patch, of course, it will change, that's the cool part. However, right now, if you go for Thunder Spike, it's basic and eagle skill, it will deal more damage to vulnerable enemies. You got one enhancement, which is, again, just basic choice, it will make your skill more powerful and you always want to pick it. And then there is one separate choice that will kinda affect how skill will work. One of it will make third attack different, another will make enemies vulnerable. So if you're scaling damage, it's pretty much no-brainer pick. If you need a little bit of utility, again, it's no-brainer pick. And then there's not a lot of points to actually scale your character differently. And eventually there's like 2-3 archetypes of builds that is possible that you will use, while other skills will have no use for you. Especially after you reach your ultimate, and you reach it even before reaching endgame, technically while leveling. So you pick ultimate that gives you critical strike ability to poison enemies, tada! You just keyword search, look for critical strikes, see what scales best with critical strikes, pick your skill and go from there. Maybe get some information from game wiki, try to find unique items that you will use, and scale from there. But it's easy, straightforward, and while you're just reaching endgame, if you just pick whatever you want, or at least skills of similar color, that's how I play Diablo 4 when I'm leveling, I just picking one color that I like. For example, for this character it was blue, I picked all blue skills, and then there's not a lot of like support skills, so just I randomly clicked on support skills, and here we are, we got a build and it worked. Then I tweaked it a little bit after I got an idea of how I want to scale it later. But builds here does not matter at all, especially when you just starting endgame. And that's what will completely change a little bit later. While on paper everything will work while you're leveling, if it makes at least a little bit of sense, when you're trying to push for hardest content, when you try to push for Torment 4 difficulty, when you try to push higher tier of pits, that's where it gets a little bit tricky. Eventually you can make it work with kinda any build, but scaling works extremely weird. So let me show you, for example, this guy and the fastest guy. So in my experience, this part from normal to penitent is kinda fun. You will see some situations where monsters hit you a few times, you lose a little bit of health, and then you can drink potions, disengage, reposition yourself, and have some fun. When you reach torments, it's one of the two situations. So it's either you jump forward and everyone disappear like instantly, or everyone is unkillable while you're dying in one single hit. And same goes for defenses. So it always feels for all character, it's either we taking no damage or we being just one shot. That's cool demonstration, nice skin by the way. But here we see that he just doing 0 damage, so 0 damage to them. At the same time, this guy, he's just zooming forward, zoom, and destroying everyone in one single shot. He does not need anything. And that's basically how the game scales, yeah, and that's super weird. So it destroys progression in my opinion. since there's no difference between Torment 1 and Torment 4 in terms of how you play. Basically, when you join Torment 2 from Torment 1 without gear, you will see that you're doing no damage. You barely see even like decreasement in enemies' lives. And here, if I'm doing this like basic attacks, they also do no damage. But if I do correct skills, well, they just one-shot everyone. And yeah, it feels weird. And I guess my build is fine and strong, but if you're playing some weird build, it will have zero chance to compete. Yeah, just from the perspective how scaling works in the game, you either do 1 damage or 1 million damage. I can wrap this up with this statement. Diablo 4 will respect your time better early, but POE2 will reward your time better later. Yeah, if you invest a little bit into game knowledge, if you try to design at least parts of your build yourself, play a little bit of meta, but tie everything together so your build makes sense, you will be rewarded with great feeling on how your build works. But in Diablo 4 you just press play and have fun. Still, it's really nice to know if you are on a railroads or you got agency. You got some player agency and you can make choices. That's why next topic is player agency. Can we shape endgame to our preference, which is basically grind, that's everything we do in endgame anyway. Can we target farm? And we start with POE2. So, can we shape our farm, can we shape our endgame? Well, I would say yes, but in reality it's completely economy driven. So, if there is some build that is really popular, and to play this build people need lots of weird currency, maybe they just need something like concentrated liquid isolation, so it's super important item, then playing Simulacrum will be your choice. And that's it. You can even join PoE Ninja and check economy to see how much which currency is worth right now, to see market prices, and that's actually what will shape your end game. So in reality, if you want to get currency, if you want to advance through the league, yes, you can do kinda wherever you want, but in most cases you need to farm what is profitable right now. So you can't do just whatever you wish. Target farm here, while technically possible, because there's some items that drop only from specific bosses, like let's say this Ingenuity belt, it always drops from ritual boss. But remember this loop we talked about before? This actually completely kills target farm. Because it's so random, this league I decided to try and get Adorned Diamond, which is super cool, interesting and powerful item. And to get it I made more than 100 runs on Trials of Chaos. It's insanely boring, repetitive activity, and you can guess it right, I got 0 adorned jewels. And while it's bad, technically, again, what I always say, in PoE2 there is no competition. So there is no in-game ladder, you can't see who is fastest, who is strongest player into separate website, and at the same time this does not show all the players, only players who joined site. So yeah, it does not track all the characters, and while you can kinda compete with these guys to see who is best DPS in the game, it's just a tooltip, it got nothing with the game. And actual goal right now is to just defeat Arbiter of Ash, or to just clear all the content, for example. If you cleared all the pinnacle bosses, well, you kinda beat the game. So this gives you ability to set your own goals, play at your own pace, play content you enjoy, and just ignore the market. But in Diablo 4 you kinda forced into loop of activities to get things you need. Technically, all stuff you need will drop from all activities, so if you prefer to just run on the map and defeat monsters and play these like little activities, to get Grim Favors, to talk with Raven and get your loot chest later, technically you can get everything you need. But there's some activities, like Undercity runs, that will reward certain currency, so if you want to get more runes, more legendaries, you need to go over there. If you're looking to get more certain stones, you need to go to Nightmare Dungeons. If you want to get more Abducite, that will be used to upgrade your gear, so if you're at the moment when you need to drop your items here and upgrade it, mostly you will use Abducite for this, it's most rare item you need. Well, you just need to either grind, for example, Infernal Hordes, but there's certain Nightmare Dungeons that will give you insane amount of Obdusite, and you're just looking for this Horadric Strong Room dungeons and play only them. And then of course there's Paragon board. So this board gives you a lot of bonuses when you reach end game. After you finished leveling, it kinda like a passive tree in POE2. Because there's loads of passives, mostly stats, but also some like damage bonuses. And again, it's mostly passives. It just gives you more damage to certain skills, and in most cases it's super simple. You just slam it, you level up a little bit, you get this big yellow stuff, some blue stuff, and this will give you lots of bonuses, stats, damage, and it will work. There's loads of boards, because you choose these boards. There's different ones, you can combine them differently, but in most cases most of them are trash, so it doesn't matter too much. Again, while there's kinda choices that you can take, in reality there's no choices. In most cases it's pretty like straightforward what you want to pick for the build you're playing. But what most important, there's stones in this Paragon board, glyphs. They call the glyphs, and you can upgrade them. So if you want to upgrade them, you need to go and farm pits. Yeah, because at the end of the pit there will be a glyph, a statue, whatever, I don't know exact name what is in the end of the pit, but basically there's a structure that will give you ability to upgrade your glyphs. So it's basically a loop. You're getting better gear, you're going into pits, then you like spam bunch of pits until you get to the structure, you upgrade your glyphs, and then you won't be able to upgrade them, because if you, for example, can play pit level 20 right now, then you will be able to upgrade your glyphs only to like level 10 reliably, and then it will be a little bit random. So you either need to just spam lots of pits and hope for luck, or just get with upgrades that you already have. Go for pinnacle bosses, destroy pinnacle bosses, get upgrades for your equipments, upgrade equipment, and you will be able to hit higher level of pit, where you will be able to upgrade these stones to higher level, and that's basically a loop. So just to show you, that's the pit boss, he's out, loot explosion as always, and that's how we upgrade our glyphs. So high level glyph on low level pit won't be upgraded, only 8% success chance. This is 100%, and for super low level it's super fast to upgrade them. You're getting like 2 levels. You can upgrade it 4 times, then just replay the pit. So that's the loop. And right now I would say technically there's no pivot from this loop. There's just activities. You want to upgrade your glyphs, go into pit. Want to upgrade your gear, go into nightmare dungeons. If you just need better gear, go for pinnacle bosses, or just go into the map and try to randomly get this gear from drops. It also works, and that's it. So depending on what you want, you're going into certain activities and upgrade your character to finally get access to next difficulty. But in new patch there is War Plans, and it looks exactly like POE2 Atlas for certain activities. So in War Plans you will play different activities, like Hell Tides for example. You play a bunch of them, bunch of pits, you upgrade something, then you will be able to spend points over here for different activities that you like, and then you will be able to kinda structure these activities for different rewards. Like normally pinnacle bosses is only at pinnacle boss dungeons, but as far as I can understand, there's chance to spawn pinnacle bosses in basic dungeons or in pits, and you will be able to get different rewards. So you will be able to play what you like more in upcoming patch. Sounds cool, sounds interesting, we'll see how it will go. And probably I will make comparison video after the patches land. Let's wrap up this with the statement that Diablo 4 gives you a linear but also smoother game at the same time, while POE2 gives you stickier endgame. Yeah, as much as it's weird, this non-linear progression when you go from one activity to another to actually get better, and instead you start with one activity, go to another, maybe to this, then get back to the first one, jump to this, to get back here, to maybe then beat Arbiter that will upgrade all your content. Yeah, it's just stickier. When you go in, it's just hard to stop. And with this we're going to our final thoughts, because we can wrap this up, but I got few ideas that we need to also discuss, because that's what actually separates both games, especially in endgame. First of all, there's a lot of punishment and friction in Path of Exile 2. So let's say you advance through the game, you're feeling powerful, but then you hop in the map and you upgrade it to maximum bonuses, so this map will be really hard. And bam, you got only one attempt. Yeah, so you saw before there was multiple teleports, 6, but right now I got only one. And now this map will have loads of monsters, it will have ignited ground, so I need to be careful when I'm walking around, and if I stay on the ignited ground long enough, and if my character is not really powerful to sustain monster damage, well, that's where the fun begins. First of all, after dying, we got 0 attempts, and now we need to replace this map to go further, if we need to, for example. But this map will have 0 content, so we can't add any cool content, we just need to beat the map. So it wastes your time, and also you just wasted map, and this map can also cost something. And at the same time I lost experience. I lost a dozen of hours by dying right now, especially at higher levels. The good, interesting part that of course it creates tension. Now your decisions matter, you need to actually think when you play, because you're investing a lot in one single map. But at the same time, maybe punishment is just a little bit too much. In good stuff, however, if you want to play challenge mode like hardcore, you never lose your character, you will be able to continue your journey in basic mode. So if you want a little bit of challenge, you just start hardcore. When you die, you go into basic mode and you can continue playing. While in Diablo 4 there is no punishment beside hardcore. Just for the achievement, I created seasonal hardcore character and I leveled him up to level 50, that was the achievement. Sadly, I don't know where to see Hall of Fame, but previous one died at level 49, and when hardcore character dies, that's it. He is kinda deleted. And if you don't trust me, let me just uncube everything and show you how it looks like. So that's monsters, and that's boom, we're out. You have died, and tada, he goes into Hall of Fame. Pretty brutal. But here on basic seasonal journey, when it's not hardcore, the only punishment is gear durability removal, so when you die like 2 times you will lose 20 durability, and to restore all equipment it will cost me 45,000, while I got 200 million. Yeah, 200 million is crazy, so this is basically nothing for me. I just restore my equipment and can go forward. There's no experience penalty, as far as I know, or they are so low that you can't even notice them. Yeah, there's no like penalties and no friction at all. You got loads of equipment, you don't want to sort it a lot, just press the button, boom, it's sorted. You like your build, go to the armory, save your build, change everything you like, and then with a touch of a button you can instantly restore your previous build. And that's completely free, unlike POE2 where you need to pay a lot of gold for it. You think all of this stuff is trash? Just press here and boom, there's no items. You got resources, so you just disenchanted everything with one single click. Stash can be auto-sorted also. Basically no friction at all. But when there is no friction at all, it actually creates this weird kinda interaction. Technically all you do in the game is just fighting. Sometimes you're finding some good gear and that's it. And this again kinda locks you from having some excitement when you drop something cool, because most of stuff is also garbage, but this garbage is just instantly removed from your inventory in 99% of cases, and you just play this gacha game trying to roll best affixes. Is it good? I don't know, but what's good in POE2 2 is pinnacle bosses. Yeah, you saw some fights. I'm actually like overpowered right now for these fights, but when you first time fight any bosses, it's just cinema, it's cool content, it's insanely nice and interesting activities. Unlike Diablo 4. In Diablo 4, I already told you, we got kind of this weird experience, at least in my experience. Difficulty jumps from super easy to impossible, and that happens in matter of one level of difficulty. In next update, however, we will get 12 torments, I guess, or like 10, basically double or triple amount of difficulties that we got right now, and this probably will change it, so we will get ability to progress a little bit smoother. Maybe it will be more fun, we'll see. And as a last point, don't forget, these games are seasonal games. This means every 3 or 4 months we're getting new league, we're getting new update, and we're creating new character in completely new setting. And that's really important, because that's how we're getting feeling of the game. For me, POE2 actually creates this great feeling of completely new adventure. Yeah, I know the game, I replayed campaign million times already, but since every character feels completely different, not just with visual change of color of his ability, but with actual skills, abilities, at the same time with lots of new content, seasonal content on campaign and in end game, it creates feeling of really good new adventure. While in Diablo 4, again, in my experience, it kinda doesn't matter too much, so every new hero, every new season is like, oh, it's just another day, another season. And honestly, it's mostly because we can actually skip campaign. Campaign in Diablo 4 is great, I like it, but if you ever played it, you know why it's skippable. It's just a slog, so you want to experience it once and then that's it. It is not part of your journey. This means whenever like new season starts, yes, you will have some new endgame activities that will affect your gear in most cases. Yeah, there's balance changes, yeah, maybe there will be some new items, some fun stuff, some not fun stuff, but essentially it's just another hero, another day, and you just doing same health diets, slashing same monsters, and everything looks the same. Diablo 4 is fast and furious. You just zoom through the monsters, through difficulties, and yeah, there is no trade, you can get everything by yourself, while if you're playing Diablo 4, of course you know that there is a trade, but honestly it takes so much time, it's so boring, and you can get most of the stuff by yourself if you're not playing some weird niche build that requires some certain affix that never roll. I don't know, I never got any problems with any builds, and I leveled every character, so yeah, this game is completely solo friendly, you don't need to like any trading at all. But when there is no pressure and no friction, I would say game can run out of gas pretty fast. So, final thoughts. POE2 got a lot more depth, a lot more systems, builds matter a lot more. You will have completely different experience by playing different heroes. But at the same time, there's a lot more friction. There's no inventory sort. There's loads of garbage that you need to identify and see is it good or not. Well, it's not, so you're wasting loads of time on doing useless stuff. We are living in 2K26 and I still need to identify 5,000 of items every league just to find, I don't know, like 10 really good ones. Others like complete garbage. This friction everywhere will actually result in half of your time that you spent in your league will be wasted on inventory sorting, trying to identify what's good, what's not, what you want to sell, what you don't want to sell, and it will create complete garbage. At the same time, amount of minigames and extra activities may feel like Roblox. Joking of course, but sometimes it feels like this, even now. I wonder what will happen when they will add even more activities. As the final part, let's not forget, Diablo 4 is a paid game, and right now full 3 expansions can vary from 70 USD to like 100 maybe in some countries, while POE2 will be completely free. Yes, if you want to play it right now, you need to buy it, but you instantly will get in-game currency that you will spend mostly on your stash tabs. Yeah, they are limited and good and nice stash tabs that will at least help you a little bit in sorting some of the items and will gather a lot more items that you can put in one single stash tab in other tabs. That's basically some quality of life that you will easily get. Later again it will be completely free, you can play campaign completely free, you don't need anything, and in endgame probably 10 USD will be enough to get you going and have some fun with quality of life that you deserve. So let's close it with this statement. One game gives you comfort, the other gives obsession. Which one is which for you? I'll see in the comments, since I read them all. Also don't forget that endgames will change forever in upcoming weeks. There's new patch in POE2 2 that should completely change endgame, and kinda same goes in Diablo 4. Make sure to subscribe for update comparison video when both games are released, and now you can check this POE2 predictions from Potato himself.